Hello, fabulous Scorpio. Welcome to your Jupiter special horoscope covering Jupiter moving into the sign of Libra from September 2016 right to October 2017. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Jupiter changing signs means a shift of blessings for all of us, and it does for you absolutely as well, but it cannot be understood without understanding the bigger picture. And the bigger picture includes Jupiter moving into your sign in October of 2017 and staying there for just over a year. Now that is going to be a defining cycle for you and a time when a whole lot changes for you for the better. In fact, it is when Jupiter moves into your sign that amazing turnarounds become possible, fresh energy comes in, and you start to feel a sense of momentum and positivity and positive growth all around. This year is part of that bigger picture in that in some important ways, it is setting you up for those big breakthroughs coming up just a little further down the road. That doesn't mean there isn't a whole lot that's really good that's going to take place now. Absolutely there is. And at the same time, there is that knowing that even better is coming up ahead. So when Jupiter moves through the sign just before yours, it tends to denote a cycle, a time when there are healthy closures that take place. And it also tends to suggest a time when it's either going to be good karma that finds you, or it is going to be a sense that things are coming full circle. Things are not only coming to a healthy closure, but you're understanding on a deep level what it is that has served its purpose in your life, who it is that you truly desire to be, and who it is that you no longer are. This can be a very powerful time when you start to see things in yourself, some things that you actually really like, some things maybe you're not so crazy about as well. That can absolutely happen under this cycle, but it's all part of preparing the ground, and it's also all part of the blessings that are set to find you now. So one of the biggest trends that takes place over this year is good karma. So this is the lucky break finding you. And this is going to be based on whether it's work that you've already done, connections that you already made and you long forgot about. This is where they start to pay off. And also this is said to be the part of the sky that covers like angels working busily on your behalf. Now sometimes that is, you could say, like on a spiritual level, this can be a time when you really feel very plugged into source and you feel very divinely inspired, if you will. But at the same time, this can be like actual people as well, speaking kindly of you without you realizing it, without you knowing it, setting you up for wonderful occurrences, wonderful advantages, wonderful opportunities based on the nice things they are saying about you without you knowing about it, without you necessarily consciously being engaged with it. And so this is about trust. What this says is you have to trust that you have put in the time, you have put in the work, you have made the connections, you have fostered good, heartfelt connections with other people, that other people like who it is that you are, what it is you're about, and what it is that you're doing, enough to want to see you succeed. It's that genuine knowing that absolutely there are people who want you to succeed. Now here's the thing. Because with all cycles, right, there's wisdom, love and wisdom playing out in all of it, always. There's love and wisdom playing out. And so as part of this love and wisdom, there is going to be that Jupiter speaking with Pluto before Jupiter reaches that point of breakthrough and of stabilizing progress that lasts. Progress that leaves you better and permanently for an extended period of time, if not for the rest of your life. So there's lots to be gained, but before we get there, and just before we experience those peak moments, we have to also have moments where we're confronting our own fears. And also with this energy for you, there might even be some confronting of disappointments. And as much as there are 10 people, let's say there's 10 people working on your behalf, saying amazing things about you, you may also have to, in all honesty, as I look at this, you may also have to deal with where it is that maybe you've trusted somebody who maybe didn't really deserve the level of trust that you gave. And ultimately this is good because this is about you realizing who you want to take with you in the future and who you don't. And it isn't necessarily that anyone's being malicious, okay? That might not be the case at all. But it may be that you need to see something about yourself in terms of what type of people you've attracted into your life and why, what it is that you've chosen to see, what it is you've chosen to participate in, even though you knew better and even though you know better, okay? So I'll give you one example in love, okay? If you are open to meeting someone new, or I gotta say, even if you are attached to somebody, okay? A cycle like this can bring somebody into the picture who maybe is not the best bet, not the smartest choice. It happens, okay? This, very possible with this type of energy. And ultimately, this is about you seeing something within yourself about how you can feel, and also about how it is that you can be in relationships that is fostering a certain energy that you don't want to nurture too much. So what I mean by that is, it tends to be, given this energy for a small percentage of you out there, in all honesty, you attract somebody and they just trigger you in all kinds of ways. There's lots of passion, lots of attraction. At the same time, you just, constantly feel on edge, can't stop thinking about this person. That's where you want to be a little bit careful, okay? And especially if this person really, is not good for you in some way. Now, that doesn't mean that it's, so bad or anything, but we tend to know when we're getting into a relationship, maybe this person is, they've got a lot of issues, they're going through a really bad breakup, and you've attracted this person into your life, and a lot of what you end up doing is having to listen to how bad their ex is. That's a little bit of a red flag, right? That should tell you a little bit something. But it happens, right? To the best of us. Sometimes we get into these situations. Sometimes it's just a person who's just not able to give at the level that we think we want. And our efforts for us to want them to give, right? Is like you say you want something casual, you attract somebody, the person's super casual, but you're being triggered in ways that are making you aware that you're acting like casual, it's anything but. You're saying you want casual, but your actions are showing something different. So I remember a young lady, okay? And she said that, she didn't want a boyfriend, but she wanted somebody that she could hang out with and do things with and be intimate with. And she met somebody and she tried to have those things, and the person kind of freaked out and said, look, you really want to have a relationship, and that's not what I'm thinking at all, and I was upfront with you about that. And so she was really upset, she was really heartbroken and everything. But when I heard that story, I thought to myself, I didn't want to say it, it wasn't appropriate to say it, but I thought to myself, but you're acting like you want a boyfriend. Everything you said, you want somebody who can hang out with, that you can do things with, that you get along with as a friend, that you can be out and about, that you can go shopping together, and you can be intimate with this person, have a really great chemistry. That's kind of the definition of having a boyfriend. That's kind of the definition of having a relationship. And that's the thing, like something like this will make you aware if there is that disconnect. It may not always be, right? It could also be flipped. It could be you who's saying that you want something casual, and this other person is trying to do all kinds of things with you, even though you've been saying from the beginning that you want something casual. So it can go either way, but ultimately this is meant to show you where there may be a disconnect between your stated intention, particularly where it comes to matters of heart, matters of love, and what it is that your actions are showing, where there's an incongruency. But also, this can just be, again, whether you're open to meeting someone new or not, someone shows up and they just really push buttons, they really get things stirring inside. And ultimately a part of this is about helping you to become aware of where it is that sanity is so much cooler. Where it is that ultimately that the type of relationship that brings a sense of calm, a sense of steadiness, can really be the thing that helps tremendously. With this energy also, you may start to notice how it is that you get in the way, and where it is that you sort of, for lack of a better word, where it is maybe that you are not living to your stated intention, And really, if I'm being frank with this, if there's any way in which you sabotage yourself, whether it's personally with your best of intentions, if you're taking people for granted, and even in your relationship, if maybe you don't realize but you're doing something that kind of, is sabotaging the relationship, this is where the moment of honesty comes. And this is where a need to take ownership for your own actions and your own participation in any given relationship dynamic, especially if it's not a good dynamic or there's parts of it that are not good. This is where you get to be honest with yourself about that. You get to forgive yourself. And where it is also, this part of the sky also has to do with forgiveness of other people. So forgiveness all around of the past, of what took place, people, situations, the opportunities that manifested, the opportunities that didn't, the things that you tried so hard for when you knew on some level that this wasn't right. This is where you get to forgive. This is where you get to release. Now, you may surprise yourself actually. Sometimes in spiritual communities, we talk about things like cutting cords, right? Releasing people. And a lot of times, I know, having talked to quite a few people out there, that can be work, right? I've known people who routinely do cord cuttings over an extended period of time over an ex, for example. This happens, right? There are some people who do that. And that's a practice that works for them, that helps them. But there's something about when that shift actually happens, right? And you no longer need to cut the cord because whatever that was, whatever energetically felt like it was still going on, just leaves. And it can actually be a really casual moment, but it can be an enlightening moment nonetheless. And that's something that you want to watch out for, particularly as we move towards the very end of the year and as we are beginning in the new year of 2017. This is energy that you want to watch out for, because it is going to be just something like this, just the most casual moment that, oh, okay, you realize, okay, I'm ready to let that go. And you do. You really do. There's no more cord cutting. There's no more ceremonies, rituals. Nothing else needs to be done. No more full moon intentions. It's done. And you know it's done, like on a very deep, visceral soul level. Whatever that was, it is done. And you are at peace with it, with that knowing. So this can be very liberating and this can be very freeing. And moments like that can happen in the most calm and surprising ways. I'll give you a little example. I mean, I remember one time, and this was so many years ago, but it always stood out in my mind. I remember I went for a run. I was in England at the time. I went for a run, and I remember standing there, and I looked at a cow, because I used to run through, that's where I was. I was in a place where we had lots of farms around us and stuff. And I remember I stopped, normally I would just run past the cows, no big deal. I'd look, oh, isn't that beautiful, the sheep and everything. And I stopped, to take a breath and to stretch as I was preparing to return. And I remember looking at this cow, and it was like this amazing moment for me personally when I realized that how many people have tried to love me, with the best of intentions. They hurt me, but it wasn't like they set out to hurt me. It just ended up being what it was. And that moment, there was just so much forgiveness in that moment. And I really felt like, I felt like I let go of lifetimes worth of stuff in that brief moment. And it was beautiful, and it was elating, and it was surprising, and it was right for it to happen at that exact moment. It was exactly what I needed in that moment. And it's like that, you will be opening a portal from which you will welcome these very types of moments, where it will come and you'll realize, in an instant, you'll look in someone's eyes, you'll look at a skyline, you'll just be doing your thing. You'll see a couple standing together, and you'll just realize, oh my God, you're able to forgive, going way back. And you can forgive people from your childhood. You can forgive former, relationships. All of it in an instant. You can just let it go. And you can feel that sense of lightness, that sense of freedom. And that stays with you. That changes the direction of your life in a very positive way. In order to allow more love in, sometimes we have to appreciate the love that was, and we have to let go of the things that hurt so that we can prepare ourselves, heart and soul, to allow more love, to have that trust that allows love to enter in the first place. It really does take an immense amount of trust to allow ourselves to love. And this is you healing anything that gets in the way of allowing love, friendship, or even just allowing yourself to take a chance, take risks, to put yourself out there. If there's any part of you that's really wanted to do something, but you haven't, you've been holding back on that, this is where it starts to reveal itself. You start to realize what it is that needs to heal, what it is that needs closure, and you get the closure. And that's where this can be tremendously powerful. Also with this given energy, you know, as I said, good karma can find you. If there's any money owed to you, sometimes that finds you as well with this given energy. And also with this, you know, I think about how sometimes that level of letting go and how it can happen on so many different levels. Now, this can be, I actually have found that this can be good in terms of health stuff. If anything needs to be healed in health, sometimes it might come up, but then it also, the process, the way to heal it also comes up. This can be also really good for habits as well, especially crutches and things that you sort of unconsciously do and don't realize actually get in the way of you, whether it's being spiritually connected or physically feeling really well. This is where you get that insight, that inspiration, that understanding, and you release it very quickly. That's the thing. There's a real sense here of, I got the insight, I've had the moment, the light has come on, and now we let go. So I also said this has to do with good karma, and the people that you attract into your life right now can have a very strong karmicness to those bonds, friendship or romantic. Any journeys you take right now, any traveling that ends up happening, you may feel a very strong karmic connection to the place, to the land that you find yourself in. Something about it resonates deeply with you. It is very possible, and it's not unlikely for people to take a trip during this time and they end up someplace and they feel like they've been there before, even though they know they haven't. There's something that feels familiar. They feel like they know where they're going. They feel like they've walked these halls before. Okay, I remember a friend of mine once, friend from way back in the day, she described going to Parliament in Ottawa in Canada. She described going there to the Parliament buildings that way. Like she said, she'd never been there before, but she just felt like she had walked those halls before and she just knew where she was going. No one had to tell her anything. And it's like that. You may find yourself in spaces and places, particularly if it involves a journey, if it involves travel, where you feel like you've just been there before. Now, sometimes that can provide the pathway, the gateway to permanent changes, to changes that last. To you really feeling like you need to be in a certain place. Now, sometimes that's just temporary. Sometimes that journey alone, a short trip alone is enough. But sometimes it can be something that actually stays with you, that lasts. It can end up being a place that you return to again and again for many years to come. One thing that I love about this time for you is that it is about trusting spirit and knowing that you are guided. Knowing that what's meant to be here right now will be, and what's meant to go will go. And knowing that all of this is leading you in a truly inspired direction, in a direction where you are on the precipice to begin again in the best possible sense. Well, thank you so much for watching this Jupiter special. I'm truly so grateful for it. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up. And I will see you online. Love interacting with you guys, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com, and the YouTube comments as well. Thank you again. Until we connect again, take care.